If you walked into any shop where men actually turn wrenches for a living, the kind with grease under their fingernails and decades of scar tissue on their knuckles, and asked them which truck they would actually buy if they needed something to work, something to last, something that would be worth a damn in 10 years when the computer dies and the dealership wants $4,000 to make it move again, you would hear the same answer every single time. It would not be a 2026 model. It would not be something with a touchscreen and a laptop under the hood. It would be something built before 2005, something with a carburetor or a simple throttle body, something you can actually fix with hand tools in your own driveway at 2 in the morning, 50 miles from anywhere. I have been turning wrenches on pickup trucks since 1978. I have owned, driven, and worked on well over 100 different trucks. I have pulled engines from old F-150s with over 400,000 miles on the original block. I have watched what the manufacturers stopped building after 2000 that we actually needed, and what they started building instead to make you keep paying them money for things you used to handle yourself. That is what I am going to talk about today. 7 trucks, 7 specific models and years, each one a machine that will outwork, outlast, and outperform anything rolling off a lot in 2026. My name is Wade Tucker, and if you own a pickup truck or you are thinking about buying one, this information is going to matter to you. If you find what I have to say useful, I would appreciate you hitting that subscribe button and leaving a comment below with what you have experienced with your own trucks. Let me start with the truck I have more personal experience with than any other on this list, the Ford F-150 from 1997 through 2003, specifically the ones equipped with the 4.6-liter or 5.4-liter modular V8 engine. I know the modular engine design gets a mixed reputation because the 5.4-liter 3-valve version from 2004 onward has well-documented camshaft phaser problems. But the 2-valve 5.4-liter and 4.6-liter 2-valve in that 1997 to 2003 window are an entirely different story. Those engines were overbuilt in ways the modern EcoBoost and 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 simply are not. A 1999 F-150 with the 5.4-liter 2-valve, maintained properly, will routinely cross 350,000 miles. I have personally seen them go past 400,000 on the original engine. The cylinder heads are iron, the block is iron, the crankshaft is forged steel, and there is no turbocharger to fail, no complex variable geometry system to clog up with carbon, no direct injection to cause fuel washdown and diluted oil. When that engine needs a repair, the parts are available at any auto parts store for under $200. A camshaft phaser for a 1999 5.4-liter costs about $45 and takes about 4 hours to install in your driveway with basic hand tools. Try getting a quote from a dealership on the 2026 F-150's turbocharged 3.5-liter V6 when the turbocharger starts making noise at 80,000 miles. The bill will likely run you $3,000 to $5,000 on an engine that was not designed to last past 200,000 miles in the first place. The 1997 to 2003 F-150 also has a 4-speed automatic transmission that is genuinely bulletproof. The transfer case is a simple part-time 4-wheel drive system with manual locking hubs that any homeowner can rebuild in an afternoon. The suspension is a tried-and-true twin I-beam front end on 2-wheel drive trucks and a solid front axle on 4-wheel drive models. You adjust the ride height with a wrench. You replace the shocks with $20 parts from your local parts store, and the frame on these trucks is the full-length ladder frame that Ford discontinued in favor of the more cost-effective single-rail frame on later models. That ladder frame is overkill in the best possible way. It flexes under load without cracking. It takes a hit and keeps going. The 2026 F-150 has a high-strength steel frame, but it also has a fully boxed construction with dozens of electronic sensors built into the body structure. And when that frame gets damaged in any real way, the repair requires factory tooling, calibrated sensors, and a computer to reset the system. Moving to the second truck, and this one is going to make some people argue, but I have the receipts and the mileage reports. The Chevrolet Silverado 1500 from 1999 through 2006 with the 5.3-liter Vortec V8. This engine, the LM7 in GM's internal designation, is one of the most durable V8s ever put in a half-ton pickup. It is an iron block with aluminum heads, cast iron crankshaft, and a flow-through oil system that keeps the bottom end alive even when the oil is not perfect. I have seen these engines hit 350,000 miles with nothing but regular oil changes and basic maintenance. The 5.3-liter Vortec responds extremely well to regular oil changes with conventional oil. You do not need synthetic. You need to change it every 3,000 miles on time and keep the filter clean, and that engine will run until the body falls off the frame. The 4L60E transmission behind this engine is also remarkably durable when maintained. It is a 4-speed automatic that was used in millions of GM trucks and is well understood by every transmission shop in the country. Parts are cheap and rebuild kits are available. When a 4L60E fails, you can get a rebuilt unit for about $1,200 and install it yourself over a weekend with basic tools. The 2026 Silverado uses a 10-speed automatic transmission that is absolutely dependent on electronic control systems and proprietary GM software to diagnose when something goes wrong. And that 2026 Silverado also comes with GM's start-stop technology, cylinder deactivation that shuts down half the engine at traffic lights, and an array of sensors and modules that all need to communicate with each other correctly, or the truck goes into limp mode. None of that exists on the 1999 to 2006 trucks. The engine either runs or it does not. The transmission either shifts or it does not. You can diagnose it with a $30 code reader from any parts store. The third truck is one that a lot of people overlook because it does not have a big American V8 under the hood, but it absolutely deserves to be on this list, and that is the Toyota Tundra from 2000 through 2004 with the 4.7-liter V8 engine. The Tundra was Toyota's first real attempt at building a full-size American pickup, and they built it to prove something. The 4.7-liter V8 in these trucks is the 2UZ-FE engine, an aluminum block V8 with dual overhead cams and 4 valves per cylinder, and it is one of the most reliable V8 engines ever produced by any manufacturer. I have seen these engines in Tundras with over 400,000 miles still running strong. The timing chain setup on the 2UZ-FE is a chain, not a belt, and it is designed to last the life of the engine with no scheduled replacement interval. The cylinder walls have crosshatch pattern at 300,000 miles in trucks that have been maintained. There are very few common failures on this engine that are not the result of neglect or deferred maintenance. The Tundra frame on these first-generation trucks is fully boxed and highly resistant to rust. Toyota used a different rust-proofing approach than the American manufacturers, and it shows in trucks that have spent their lives in northern states where road salt is a fact of life every winter. The spark plugs are accessible from the top of the engine without removing anything critical. You can change the oil on a 2002 Tundra in 20 minutes in your driveway. Now compare that to the 2026 Tundra with its twin-turbo 3.4-liter V6, its 10-speed transmission, its hybrid starter system, and the dozen or so computers that manage everything from throttle response to suspension damping. When that turbocharger on a 2026 Tundra starts having boost issues at 80,000 miles, which is a known failure mode on these engines, you are going to need the Toyota TechStream software, a factory scan tool, and a technician who knows how to interpret the data streams from the turbo's variable geometry actuator system. The repair cost for a failed turbo on the 2026 Tundra's 3.4-liter at a dealership runs somewhere between $3,500 and $6,000. On a truck that Toyota expects you to trade in before it hits 100,000 miles so you stay in warranty. Let me move to the fourth truck, and this one is going to hit close to home for a lot of mechanics and truck owners, especially those of you in the Midwest and the South, and that is the Dodge Ram 1500 from 1995 through 2004 with the 5.9-liter Magnum V8 engine. The 5.9-liter Magnum is one of the great American V8 engines of the last 50 years. It is a pushrod design, which means fewer moving parts, simpler valve train, more durability. It produces plenty of torque for hauling and towing without any turbochargers, without any variable valve timing systems, and without any computer-controlled anything that can fail in ways you cannot predict. The 5.9-liter Magnum in these Ram trucks will run 400,000 miles with basic maintenance. I have seen them. I have pulled engines from Ram 1500s with the 5.9-liter that had over 450,000 miles on the original block and still had good oil pressure, good compression, and no tick or knock. The engine is overbuilt in the traditional American way, with heavy-duty main bearings, a forged crankshaft, and a bottom end that was designed to handle the kind of load that makes lesser engines call it quits. The 45 RFE and 54 RFE transmissions behind the 5.9-liter in these trucks are robust automatics that were built for the heavier duty of the 3/4-ton and 1-ton Rams, and they handle the half-ton well below their capacity limits, which means they last. The 2026 Ram 1500 uses either the Hurricane 3.0-liter straight-six turbo or the 5.7-liter Hemi V8 with e-torque mild hybrid assist, both of which require extensive electronic management and neither of which is particularly easy for an owner to work on independently. The e-torque system adds a belt-driven motor generator unit and a small battery pack that manages engine restart after stop-start operation, and when that system fails, the repair requires dealership-level diagnostic equipment and factory parts that are not cheap. The 1998 Ram 1500 with the 5.9-liter does not have a mild hybrid system. It does not have a start-stop feature. It does not have a computer managing its idle speed based on electrical demand. It has a throttle body and a simple fuel injection system that any backyard mechanic can tune with a screwdriver. You own that truck. It does not own you. Now, the fifth truck on this list is one that I have personally owned, and I can tell you from direct experience, and that is the Toyota Tacoma from 2001 through 2004 with the 3.4-liter V6 engine. The Tacoma has become almost legendary in the truck world for its longevity and its ability to keep running when other trucks would have been sent to the junkyard. The 3.4-liter 5V ZFE V6 in these Tacomas is one of the most reliable engines Toyota ever produced. It has a cast iron block, aluminum heads, and a timing chain that is designed to last the life of the engine with no scheduled replacement. I owned a 2002 Tacoma with the 3.4-liter V6 that I drove for 9 years and put over 220,000 miles on before I sold it to a neighbor who still drives it to this day. I never did anything to that engine except oil changes and one water pump replacement at about 180,000 miles. The truck never left me stranded. It never needed a tow. It started every morning in January in Tennessee with a thin coat of frost on the windshield and ran like nothing was wrong. The Tacoma frame on these trucks is fully boxed and extremely resistant to rust. These Tacomas were also built with a manual transmission option that is one of the most durable 5-speed gearboxes ever put in a compact truck. The 2026 Tacoma is a completely different machine. It uses the 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with a hybrid option. The hybrid system uses a CVT-style transmission that Toyota calls an eCVT, which is a fundamentally different design from the old automatic and one that has had reliability issues in other Toyota hybrids. The turbo 4-cylinder requires direct injection, which means carbon buildup on the intake valves is a known issue that requires intake cleaning every 30 to 40,000 miles, and that cleaning requires removal of the intake manifold and special chemicals. At a dealership, that service runs about $500. On the 2002 Tacoma, you clean the throttle body with a rag and carburetor cleaner and you are done. 5 minutes, $5. Let me get to the sixth truck, and this one might surprise some people, but it absolutely belongs on this list. And that is the Ford Ranger from 1999 through 2006 with the 4.0-liter V6 engine. The Ranger is often dismissed as a compact truck, not a real truck, by people who do not understand what these machines are actually capable of. The 1999 to 2006 Ranger with the 4-liter SOHC V6 is an incredibly durable little truck. The 4-liter engine is derived from the bigger 4.6-liter modular V8 design, but configured as a V6, and it has the same overbuilt bottom end, the same iron block design, and the same basic reliability profile as the full-size F-150 engines of the same era. The 5-speed manual transmission behind this engine is one of the best Ford transmissions ever built. The Ranger frame is a ladder frame with solid axles on four-wheel drive models, and it can handle a serious workload. People use these Rangers for towing, for off-road rigs, for work trucks, and they keep going. The 2026 Ford Maverick, which is the modern descendant of the Ranger, uses a hybrid powertrain with a 2-speed electric transaxle and a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine. When the hybrid battery in a Maverick starts to degrade, which is a known issue on older hybrid systems, you are looking at a battery replacement that will cost thousands of dollars at a dealership. The old Ranger does not have a hybrid battery. It does not have a battery management system. It has a simple lead-acid battery and a charging system that any parts store understands. The 2026 Maverick has a unibody construction, which means it was not designed for the kind of heavy work that a body-on-frame Ranger was built for. The old Ranger is a real truck. The new Maverick is a car platform with a truck bed attached. Let me close with the 7th truck, and I saved this one for last because it is the one that mechanics specifically point to when they want to show you what a real work truck looks like. And that is the Chevrolet Silverado and its GMC sibling, the Sierra, from 2000 through 2005 with the 6-liter V8 engine. The 6-liter LS engine in these trucks, the Vortec 6000, is based on the legendary LS platform that General Motors developed in the late 1990s and is used across their entire truck and SUV lineup for over 2 decades. The LS engine family is one of the most robust engine architectures ever put in a production vehicle. The 6-liter version in the Silverado and Sierra produces 345 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque, which is more than enough for any half-ton workload you can throw at it. The engine has an iron block and aluminum heads, a deep skirt design that adds rigidity to the bottom end, and a firing order that GM designed for smooth operation and long component life. I have seen these engines in Silverados and Sierras with over 350,000 miles and still pulling strong. The 4-speed automatic behind the 6-liter is the 4L60E, which handles the extra torque of the 6-liter well as long as you maintain the transmission fluid properly. These trucks were built with a full-size heavy-duty frame that can handle gooseneck and fifth-wheel towing. The difference is that when something breaks on the 2002 Silverado with the 6-liter, you can fix it. Every sensor and actuator on the truck can be diagnosed with a standard OBD2 scanner that you can buy for $30 at any auto parts store. The 2026 Silverado with the 6-liter V8 uses an entirely different control architecture with GM's latest electronic throttle system, variable cylinder management that shuts off cylinders on the highway, and an 8-speed or 10-speed automatic that requires factory-level diagnostics when anything goes wrong. The old truck has a throttle body and a simple fuel injection system that was designed to be maintained by the owner. The new truck has a computer managing every aspect of the driving experience. And when that computer has a glitch, which happens more often than the manufacturers will ever admit publicly, you need a dealership to reset it. Let me put this all together for you. I am not saying that no one should ever buy a new truck. I am saying that if your goal is to own a truck that will last you 15 or 20 years with proper maintenance, a truck that you can actually repair yourself when something breaks, a truck that will not nickel and dime you to death with dealership service visits every time a sensor acts up, then the 7 trucks I just described are the trucks you should be looking at in the used market. These are the trucks that mechanics buy for their own personal use when they want something to work hard and keep running. These are the trucks that independent shops keep in their fleet because they know the cost of ownership is low and the reliability is high. These are the trucks that you can hand to your son or your nephew when he turns 16 and know that it will start every morning and get him to school and back without drama. The 2026 trucks are impressive machines. They are powerful, they are comfortable, they have more technology in them than the Apollo spacecraft, and they will sell you on all of that at the dealership when you are signing the paperwork. But what the dealership will not tell you is what that technology costs to maintain at 100,000 miles. What happens when the turbocharger on your EcoBoost starts making noise? What the battery replacement costs on your hybrid system at 8 years? What the transmission rebuild costs when the 10-speed in your new Silverado starts acting up at 120,000 miles? And the answer is, it costs a lot more than an oil change and a set of spark plugs on a 2002 Tundra. That is the difference. That is why mechanics are quietly buying up these older trucks when they find them at the right price, because they know what they are actually worth. They know what they cost to own over 10 years. They know what it takes to keep them running, and they know that it is simple and cheap and something they can do themselves. That is knowledge that the manufacturers do not want you to have, because if you knew how cheap it is to maintain a 2002 Tundra compared to a 2026 Tundra, you might not buy a 2026 Tundra. You might buy the 2002 Tundra and keep it for another 15 years and never go to a dealership again. So my question for you today is this: what truck are you currently driving, and what has your experience been with the maintenance costs on it? Leave a comment below and tell me what you drive and what you have spent keeping it on the road. I read every single comment, and your stories help all of us figure out which trucks are actually worth buying in the used market. If you found what I shared today useful, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you on the next one.